physical. And in the low post earlier, they have been bagging one another. And Dre, who's got a great leg before the game starts, not a happy guy. Let's hope they just sort this out and nobody is dismissed from the game. Sean, here's a look. Now watch the elbow as he tries to free. And that should be.
He comes back, does Riddick with the strangle move to the neck of Wallace.
Well, see, here's the foul, and there's no question about that, but he does not like people around him, and that's not the way, and you can just see how animated and concerned Andre Riddick is. Did you feel this yesterday with Rick Pitino's comments with us?
Yes.
They were going to be aggressive, be physical. This is where it all started on this play, but it had started earlier in the game on the initial post-up.
The officials have been conferring as you've been looking at replays. Rick Pitino was very clear yesterday. They felt that Wallace did not like to be bumped around, that they could aggravate him, get him in foul trouble if they made the game physical underneath, and that he had plenty of bodies to run at Rasheed Wallace against the less deep North Carolina team.
Initially, it should have been a foul on Riddick, and then they can look at our monitor because of a fight.
That's right. The officials have come to our table, as you see. In questions of timing and scoring or involving fights, the officials can consult the monitor, and they are seeing the same pictures that you are now as we look at the replay.
Tim Higgins and Tom Rucker over here. And
he wants more, says Tim Higgins.
And there's what ignited everything.
And to tell Bob Monsbach in the truck, our producer, the officials would like you to go back as far as you can and play through as much as you can so they get a full idea of all that has transpired. Tom Rucker, you see Tim Higgins watching our monitor. They want to see it one more time, and we'll go back as far as we can. Here it is from start to finish.
But I think they foul for Riddick, and then a flagrant foul on the elbow will be what's called. Nobody dismissed because no punches were thrown. I'm going to get on the Erie here.
Yeah, why don't you take off your headset, Bill, because they're having this conversation right in front of us. Bill's going to try to eavesdrop as Tim Higgins and Tom Rucker discuss the situation. Now they move to a recon out here with them, and Bob Donato has stepped in. Riddick on the bench. Rick Pitino waiting anxiously for word from the officials. As is Dean Smith. Wallace is on the floor walking around.
Be thrown out. It should be a flagrant foul for the elbow. So that's 2 shots in the ball. It would be a non-shooting situation, so it should go to Kentucky.
And what about after the elbow, the reaching out and grabbing the next ball?
I didn't see a punch thrown. No, I don't think so.
The replay shows 3 things.
Discussion has gone on now for about 5 minutes.
Right, Riddick? Riddick. Then we have an elbow by Rasheed Wallace that we're going to call an unsportsmanlike foul and 2 shots. The elbow.
What is Candy?
He was a common foul, but I'm not done. Then we have a foul. I'm going to have an unsportsmanlike foul on 30 White for going to his neck. You can't put your hands up.
And he meant 10 White, not 40. He said McCarty, but Riddick is number 10. Pitino left with a spicy word. Tim Higgins said, this whole thing's been bad enough without you giving us that kind of conversation.
Then we've got unsportsman foul.
Who's the guy you said we went after somebody's neck?
The confusion now is about the number of the Kentucky player. They said 40, they meant 10.
40 for us?
Who's 40 White? Did you go after him?
Rick doesn't know what number McCarty was.
expect not to get penalized for that.
Well, Sean, how much self-control can you have? You've just been decked. I thought it was pretty under control, but I think what you said is correct. It is written, although they may get McCarty later for doing something. There's the elbow. Now, McCarty really doesn't do anything unless they get him a little bit later.
No, they just got confused with the number 10 instead of 40. They meant to get number 10. Instead, they charged it to number 40.
Here comes the double up, and really that elbow. This is the tough part, Sean. You know, having played, I know you have, when somebody hits you like that, it's great self-control not to throw a punch. Even though you don't want them to do anything, you can't ask a young guy with such an important game, and this is just an awfully